Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a story about a 600-pound man who had a medical emergency and had to be removed from his home using a crane. Since he was too large to fit through the door, they also had to remove a wall of his house to get him out. Some people online say this should be a wake-up call, and they're shocked that it could get to this level, while others think the situation is just sad. We're going to be learning a little more about this story, as well as reading some of the comments, so be sure to stick around until the end. Before we proceed, please click the like button so that I may apply comb to mustache. Okay, it looks like they've rolled this gentleman onto a pallet, as you can see here, and they're slowly lowering him down with a forklift, actually. It looks like they're using a forklift and some kind of crane as backup. This woman up here on the balcony is just watching the whole thing unfold. This is a crazy situation. So if they literally can't even fit through the door to leave their house, who's bringing them all of the food and everything? This is like an episode of My 600-Pound Life, and interestingly enough, all the news stories say that this person was 600 pounds. Oh yeah, what an embarrassing situation. We even got this guy over here with his professional camera taking pictures for like the newspaper or whatever. This is very embarrassing, but should this be some kind of wake-up call? They literally had to remove the wall of this apartment building just to get this guy out. Hopefully he has renter's insurance. Like they would cover that, right? You call your insurance company, you're like, yeah, so I had to remove a wall of my house. Do you guys cover this? Why did you have to remove a wall of your house? Various reasons. Okay, so it looks like they safely got him to the ground after removing a wall from the apartment building. Okay, so as we can see, they had to remove the wall of the apartment building and pull the guy out with a forklift. I initially said crane because that's what the story said, but that was actually a forklift. I'm wondering how we get to the point to where we can't fit through the door to begin with. Obviously, someone is bringing us food, so is it DoorDash or we're being enabled by somebody that we know, like an episode of My 600-Pound Life? I'm not sure what's going on with that. I can't imagine being the person that's been bringing this person food, watching them get taken out of the apartment via forklift. The whole situation is really messed up, and I imagine that this is super embarrassing for this person. There were people standing up on the balcony looking down. Some guy showed up with like a professional camera. Obviously, a lot of news stations are covering this story. It's pretty old now, but a lot of them were back when it was happening. Now we're going to be taking a look at some of the comments. Thando says, I was looking for AI watermark. No, Unfortunately, it's not AI. This is real life. And as you can see from the date on this comment, it happened back in October of last year. I'm really late to the story. I'm sorry. Sorry, I got a little Canadian there. Miles says, imagine if that building were to catch fire or something crazy. He would literally have no choice but to stay in there. Absolutely, you would not be able to leave and get rescued in a timely manner. He couldn't even fit through the door. They had to remove the entire wall. I can only imagine the state of that couch in there, or whatever the hell he's been sitting on for all these years. I'm not trying to be mean or insensitive, but I have a spot that I sit on all the time on the couch, and it's got my butt groove worn into it. So like I can only imagine this dude's butt groove and what the state of his couch is. Actually, this is so sad. Yes, it is. I agree with that. It's not funny at all. The whole situation is sad and messed up and super embarrassing for this dude. A whole crane to lift him up? So sad. Lucas says, this has to be a wake-up call. I would hope so, honestly. Out of all the wake-up calls that ever wake-up called, this has to be a wake-up call. We're getting industrial equipment involved. We removed the wall from the apartment complex. We got grandma up on the second floor looking down at me. Man, this is not good. And I'm not judging this dude or trying to shame him. I'm saying this is a really messed up and embarrassing situation. I got a lot of sympathy for this dude. However, it should definitely be a wake-up call. There was a reporter standing down there with like a high-end camera filming you and taking pictures. That would definitely be a wake-up call to me. As I'm being lowered down, I'm looking up at the balcony and seeing grandma on the second floor looking down at me. I'm like, man, what the hell? Oh, man. That would do it for me. Or the guy showing up with the professional camera to take pictures for the Daily Mail or whatever else. That would definitely be a wake-up call for me. This person says not only the crane, they had to break down a wall to get him out. Yeah, it's very wild. We're involving industrial equipment and knocking down walls. How much is the apartment complex going to charge us for that? Oh my gosh. Can you imagine being the owner of the apartment complex? You see the fire department show up and just start busting a hole in the side of the building. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know how much that's gonna cost to fix? They're like, but there's a guy in there with a medical emergency. And you're like, dude, what are you doing in my wall? What the hell are you guys doing? You can't cut a hole right there. You went right through all the plumbing. There's water pouring out everywhere. They go to cut a hole in the wall and hit the plumbing, and water just starts pouring out. Or they hit a bunch of electrical wires and start a fire or something. Like, this is crazy. This person says it's actually so sad, to be honest. Yeah, absolutely. This person says, guess the country. Japan. Is that what it... I'm just kidding. We all know goddamn well exactly which country it's in. But which state? I bet you guys can also guess that. Florida. I bet all of you would have guessed that immediately, actually. Of course this happened in Florida, you idiot. This person says, bruh, food is not that good. No comment. You ever had a Baconator, bro? Needing a crane is crazy. Rose says, this is so sad. The humiliation. Poor guy. At some point you get to a place where you just can't physically and mentally reverse things without help. Have some compassion, people. A lot of people actually did have compassion on this one. I haven't seen a whole lot of jokes or anything. Most people are just like, oh my God, this is sad. Like, and this person brings up the point that at some point you get to a place where you can't physically and mentally reverse things without help. I would say this person is definitely in need of some outside help, and there's no shame in asking for that. Sometimes, man, we've gone so far in whatever direction that we might need the help of other people to get us out. It just is what it is, you know? This person says, I wonder what he was thinking about. This made me sad. Well, he's probably just like, my God, this is embarrassing. And how much are they going to charge me to repair that hole in the wall? As we can see here, he's looking up at the hole in the wall and he's thinking, my God, how much is this going to cost to fix? Jesus Christ. Look, he's looking up at it. He's like, the fuck? Damn, man. There's all sorts of plumbing and electrical and crap in there. Oh, jeez. How much is this going to cost? That's what my head would be, right? Like, as they're lowering me down, I'd be looking up at that hole. I'd be like, oh, man, that looks expensive. Ah, shit. I'm fucked. Is renter's insurance going to cover that? Probably not. That's probably all coming out of my pocket. Oh, God, I'm fucked. Oh, God, I'm fucked. That's what I would be thinking. You know what I mean? Like, that hole looks expensive. I didn't see it, but I can imagine. Sorry, I'll try to focus. The poor guy, that must have been so embarrassing. Yeah, and expensive. I bet that cost a fortune. I'm sorry. This person says, was it necessary to broadcast this on the news? Wishing him a happy and healthy life moving forward. Yes, it was necessary because they cover things that are happening. I hope he's okay. That must have been a tough day for everyone involved. Oh, absolutely. I'm wondering how long it took them to actually cut that hole in the wall. This person says, I'm too European for this. This comment reads, a damn crane, bro? Matthew says, may God be with him. All right, things got a little spiritual and shit right there. Sometimes people like to randomly bring up God or Jesus. I like that time when that person was randomly like, Jesus is watching. I was like, what? The fuck does that have to do with anything? Why do you guys just always have to throw stuff like that into every conversation when nobody even brought it up constantly? God is watching you, you know. Cool. Thanks. Why are you telling me this? May God be with him. Okay, I agree. I don't know if you're wishing him to pass into the afterlife and meet God, or what the hell that comment means. People act like food can't be an addiction as well. Tell an alcoholic or an opioid abuser, just stop and see how that goes. Just think about how mortified he must feel and how embarrassed he feels. On this segment, if that's not wake-up call, no hope. This person says, what you looking for in the comments? And then there's a picture of a bird. How did he get to the hospital? Ain't no way he fit in an ambulance. This is so sad because it's not greed that gets you to that size, it's pain and trauma. In addition, if he can't get around, someone fed him to get to that size, yes. The enabler knew what they were doing. Yes, they did, and I also wonder how the enabler feels seeing this person get pulled out of that apartment using a crane, knowing that they had a hand in doing this. They see him getting pulled out of the apartment using industrial equipment. They have to know that they had a hand in that, right? I'm the one that's been bringing him all this stuff all these years until he couldn't fit through the door. Becoming bedbound is one thing. Continuing down that same path until you can't even fit through the door is a whole other thing. They're both really messed up situations, but it's just wild to let it get to that point. Anyone who lets themselves get to this state hates themselves. Well, I would say this is definitely not an act of self-love. Hopefully this is a wake-up call for this person and they can turn their life around. This person says only God knows the pain he feels. Right, but sometimes the pain that we feel is self-imposed. And God is not going to come along and just take that away for us, you know? God gives you plenty of opportunity to lift yourself out of the situation that you put yourself into. But he's not going to do it for you because therein lies the lesson. Doing things for ourselves and taking ourselves out of the situation that we put ourselves in is actually the lesson. If we put ourselves into a bad way and we sit back and we're like, somebody, please come help me, we don't learn the lesson. Unfortunately, pain is the greatest teacher. This comment says this is the first time he's seeing direct sunlight since he moved into that apartment. It's probably been years, honestly, since he's had the sun on him. Several people are angry that this was uploaded or broadcast to begin with. This is horrible and definitely a moment that should have been kept private. I'm sure he feels horrible enough. There's no need for the internet to make him feel worse. Okay, I've seen basically nothing but supportive comments so far. This is so sad, poor guy, see? Do we really need to see this? Is it too much to ask to respect this man a little bit? No, I feel so bad for him. He's probably so embarrassed. Somebody was enabling him to get like that. Sometimes if you really care about someone, you tell them the hurtful truth before their delusions lead to ruin. This person quotes everybody else that keeps saying, he must feel so embarrassed. And then they respond to that by saying, and who set that system up? That's true. It is embarrassing, but we put ourselves here, so. This person asks, how does it get to this point? Devin says, the lack of empathy in the comments is saddening. Praying for healing and sending love his way. Okay, I don't know which comments you were reading. The vast majority of the comments that I read were supportive and they said they feel bad for the guy. Imagine someone calling a crane instead of ambulance. Okay, are there actually any non-supportive comments? Where do they get the money to eat this much food? I don't know. Obviously, if you can't even fit through the door to leave your apartment, you can't have a job unless you're working from home, I suppose. This person says this had to be mad expensive. That's what I was thinking about. Not just the cost of repairing the building, but the cost of all of the heavy equipment, the firefighters, the paramedics, all of the personnel involved. This whole entire thing had to be like $150,000, dude. Robin says, average person in the US, by the way. Hey, how dare you? Here we go, here we go. Life without Jesus Christ is empty. There's your random Jesus comment that's got literally nothing to do with anything. Just like in that one video I made recently where somebody was randomly like, Jesus Christ is watching. What? Life without Jesus Christ is empty? What the hell does that have to do with anything? And are you sure? If you're so sure, why do you keep screaming that into my face all the time? It seems like you don't even believe it yourself. Brindley says, y'all are horrible people. Oh yeah, all the people that said this is so sad, I can't believe it. My heart really goes out to this person. I honestly haven't even seen any mean comments, really. This is really super sad. I so feel for him. See? Reminds me of a Grey's Anatomy episode. This actually makes me so sad. So I don't know what some of those people are talking about. Like, oh my God, all these mean comments. I haven't really found any. Except people saying, we all know which country this is. Oh boy, here's another one. Dear Heavenly Father, please watch over this man and give him the strength and courage and don't listen to all these haters on TikTok shaming him. I pray that he gets better and lives a healthy life. Amen. I said strength instead of strength, because when you go to church, they would probably say it that way. Lord, give me the strength. I love people's bizarre-ass public prayers. Dear God, please do good shit for this guy. I'm saying this out loud in front of all these other people. Like, it's really just a display. Okay, that's all this is. Scott says, they put bro on a pallet? Yes, they did. And then they lifted it up with a forklift, which is designed to lift a pallet. This person says, only in Florida. That's what I was thinking. A lot of people are like, wow, this is American as hell. I'm thinking, wow, this is Florida as hell. Specifically. America's pretty big. We need to narrow this down. This is Florida. Okay, and we're gonna wrap up the story right there. It is a really sad story. They had to remove the wall and use a forklift to get this dude out of his apartment. There are a ton of people standing around watching, which is very embarrassing. Also, this was uploaded to the internet so millions more people can see it, which is even more embarrassing. Several people pointed out that this should be a wake-up call. I will say this is a very extreme situation that is super embarrassing, and I could see a lot of people never wanting to go through this again, therefore this being a wake-up call. I can't imagine how expensive this whole entire thing is going to be. Just the bill for them showing up, removing the wall, and all of this stuff is probably like $150,000. And then the repairs to the wall and the building and stuff in general has to be another $100,000, dude. They're probably cutting through pipes and wires and structural beams and all kinds of stuff. Probably not the structural beams. They know not to cut through that. The whole building will come down. But either way, dude, when you cut into a wall, it's not just a bunch of blank space. There's pipes and wires and all kinds of crap in there. So this is going to be stupid expensive. It's definitely very embarrassing though, and hopefully this dude makes positive changes in his life so he never has to go through this again. Either way, what do you think? Leave a comment below. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. Anyway, that about does it. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one.